Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. You understand me? We're gonna run this show like a showing up like Geronimo. Anyway, you understand me? Bitter and the sweet. It's like in your occupation. Whatever you choose to do, you got to have moral standards and principles. If you don't have standards, morals, and principles, you'll do anything, and you won't represent, and you won't have character and strong morals. See, that's what you got to have. You dig? You understand me? It is what you do and how you do it. You understand me? If you're a certain type of person, you have characteristics, and you say, well, you're not going to make a deal or sell out with someone, you know what I'm saying? And you stand up to that, what you say you're going to do and what you're going to be. And you make sure that people respect you and understand who you are and what you are, and that you know what I mean? You tell the truth and you're honest about what you do. And you do what you say and you say what you mean. You know what I'm saying? When you do that, you represent yourself in the highest way, you know? And you represent the bitter with the sweet. What I mean by that is, man, when you leaking, say you leaking, right? You're doing bad, right? You did, but you could do better. But if you did something out of your league, if you did something out of what you're supposed to do, but it's not in your character. It's not in your upbringing. It's not in you. You understand me? It's just like you be sharp every day, not sometimes, but you do this every day, all the time. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's a part of what you do. It's you. You understand? You're not gonna do it no other way. You're not gonna put on no overalls. You're not gonna go get no job. You understand? It's not winning. It's winning. It's not winning. It's the principles, the morals, and standards you uphold and you represent, which make you happy. If you got principles, and morals, and standards, you're gonna be happy because you real about what you're doing. You real about what you're saying. You understand? So if you have to leak, you understand me, and do bad, but you standing on principles and morals. Say for instance, you're a player, right? You're a real player. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're a player, see, there's a difference in a player and a drug dealer, because that's a category by itself when you sell drugs. You over here. If you're a player, man, the way I come up, you play for your money, man. You hustling. You selling DVDs. You're doing certain things. You're not going to work and hustling on the side. You ain't a player, man. The minute you punch a clock, you a working man. You are a working man. There's nothing wrong with that. I just have to set the record straight because a lot of people shine like they doing so much and it ain't coming from the game. You understand? It's coming from the job they working. You know what I mean? Because, you give people false pride. You let people, you waving a false flag. You got these people, these kids, these people looking up to you, thinking you doing so much and that you got it a certain way. If you work that job and you got it from a job, let them know that's where it comes from because they need to see you shining bright with the money you get from the job. But a lot of people don't want to shine bright. They can get most of them jobs you can get you a used Rolls Royce or you can get you a Cadillac. Not brand new, but a couple of years old, a few years old, and you can look good and wear nice, pretty clothes. You can wear nice clothes. You can wear nice clothes and work a job. When you get off work, say you working a job, man, you can look like this, working a job. You understand? You could have style, fashion sense. There's nothing wrong with having fashion sense. But let people know what you're doing and set the record straight. Don't lie and deceive people. Because when you lie and deceive people, you dig, it's not good. Because you mix up the young people, they already got it mixed up because so many people lie and cheat and tell you they doing one thing and they doing something else. If you got property and you got all this and you invested in property, let people know. You don't have to let them know that's secret. That's your secret thing. But where did that money come to get what you got? Where did all the money come? Don't make them think you got it from being a pimp. That's not good either. Being a pimp is not good. You shouldn't be bragging about that. You got these people on the internet bragging about, well, it ain't none of them doing that, but they bragging about what they used to do when they did do it. But it's nothing to brag about. That's nothing to look up to. You got these young people looking up to that like that's something to look up to. even if you did win at that when you did it, that's over with. That's part of the past. And that's nothing to look up to now. You should encourage them kids, them young people to go get a job, go get an education, because then the bitter and the sweet is going to always be there. You know, but when I was leaking out on buses and did what I did it because, hey, that's part of the game. We all knew that was part of being a real player. That was part of the game. When you didn't have a dame, you was going to leak at things. You know what I'm saying? When you had a dame, you know, you was always sweet and everything was cool, right? But that was acceptable. We knew that. That's why real players understood that. Now, cats that sold dope, you got these cats that sell dope part-time. They be in and out of selling dope. Then they jump into, you know, popping con or whatever. No. See, when you sell dope, you're a dope dealer, and you mixing it up, and that's not good because you're not representing nothing solid. It's like half-stepping. I mean, you might be having money, but shit, who ain't gonna have money if you? It's like somebody robbing a bank. If you gonna put a gun in and go rob a bank, you gonna have money because you robbed that bank. Sure, you're gonna have money, but do you want money that way? Can you feel good about having money that way? You know, a lot of these cats, they feel good about selling dope because it's so common now. So many people sell dope that it's so common. But I still have the same feelings about selling dope as I did all through the flick, even though it might be easier accepted now. Not to me. It's not easy accepted to me. I feel just as bad about a dope dealer as I did throughout my whole career. I never respected a dope dealer. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they try to think they're important and they try to be, you know, well, women look up to them, you know, because most of the time they don't tell them that's what they're doing. They make it seem like they're a pimp or they doing everything but what they doing, selling dope. And then you got the dope dealers that's happy to be selling dope, and that's cool because they upholding it. They honor it and they part of the game. But nowadays, it's respected as part of the game when you sell dope pimpos. They put it all in the same category. But that's not the way it is. OGs know that it don't go like that. You don't mix the two together. A real pimp and a real player, rather leak, he'll do bad. He'll accept the bitter rather than have it sweet like that. But a lot of these cats be faking. They run around now living high off the hog, talking all that slick pimp talk. But they selling dope. You understand? And when you sell dope, that's what you are, a dope dealer. You know, I had a cat tell me, you get the pills, I'll sell them. No, I'm not going to get the pills. If I get the pills, have anything to do with the pills, put my money involved in the pill, it's just as bad. You know, and I tried it one time. I tried selling drugs one time. And it was meant for me not to do it because I disastered. I messed my money up. The people I had working for me messed the money up. It didn't work. It didn't pan out. It didn't work out. And it was good because I wouldn't have no business doing that anyway. I was hanging around with the wrong people. That's why when you hang around with the wrong people, you're in tendency to do the wrong things. And I was having money at the time, but the money I got came from playing, selling slum, right? Right? But then why would I want to do that? I'm doing that because they say you can turn your money over. They trying to tell me. But you know what? It ain't never a good way. Anything to do with any kind of dope dealer, dope fiends, dope people is never no good. Especially when you're a real player. You ain't got no business being around them people at all. You know, just stay away from them as far as you can away from them. Because it's going to lead you to destiny. It's going to be disastrous. And that's how I felt when I got clean and sober. I felt from that. Because I was clean and sober, but I still was messing with people that was doing deceitful things. Like when I had the dope fiends selling my slum. I was getting paid, and I was doing it in a willful way, which was nothing wrong with that because I was selling slum still, just I had them doing it. I was, you know what I'm saying? Which was nothing wrong with that when I did it. You know, it's just that you never win with it because those people, you can't trust them and they're going to eventually cross you up. You understand what I'm saying? But some kind of way they're going to mess the money up if you give them too much. But by giving them the way I was doing it, I didn't have to worry because I didn't give them a whole lot to mess up, you know. But I was, you know, like selling slum like that on that level, which was still cool because I still was a player. You know, and that's how I got my Cadillac. Actually, not my first Cadillac, my Cadillac from back, back. You know what I mean? After I got out of jail and got clean, so when I got my 10 years straight, that's when I got that Cadillac I got. And then the rest of them I got from playing. The hoes didn't really give me that much. But playing and pimping go together. They hand in glove. They go together. So if you playing and you pimp, it's all together because they go together hand in glove. You understand? Because you still playing for your money, man. And I'll never forget that, and I never disregard that. You know. But most of my money, like in the 90s, it came from the slum gang. Playing. It came from playing. You know? Yeah, it came from playing, man. You know, that money came from them bras. I mean, it came, but it went, you understand what I'm saying? Because I reinvested it in them, buying them clothes and making sure they had look good on the track, so I was represented. And that's what you want. You want to be represented so your reputation precedes you. So when you talk about you and the people kick it, they say, oh, man, his broad had that cow skin suede suits from Wilson. You understand me? His women wore that. I can honestly say that, and I meant that because that's what they had on, $2,200 suits, right? You know, you understand? But I reinvested that in them after they took a $5,000 thing, which was okay because it wasn't out of my pocket. But the point of it is, it was good for my reputation. All that was good for the reputation, you know. But the fast life is like that. It come fast, it go fast, you know. But it was all good because that's the way the game was. We wasn't thinking about saving. But it's not meant to save because it didn't go like that. You know what I'm saying? What I mean is if you was able to get fast money and then invest it like that, you'd be doing a great thing. You really would be doing good by investing it in that way. You know, you dig, and then you gonna have bad falls when the money come from the game. But I knew how to hold on to my money. You know, I knew how to hold on to money. I didn't get broke. I knew how to hold my money. I had in my stock. I had $5,000 running around. Came from the game. I'm talking about even after I stopped doing when I went to Vegas. I wasn't trying to pimp or do nothing. I was just playing for my money and then trying to live a good life and enjoy living life. And I did because I wasn't on no drugs. You know what I'm saying? And if you can do that to manage your money and play right, you're doing good. But then I had, no dope fiend problem. If you got a woman and she ain't trying to help you do better with you, then you messed up too. And that's when I found that out. You know? You dig what I'm saying? So it's just you got to live your life and you got to save your money. When you're young, save your money. When you get to be old and you saving your money, what are you saving it for? You old, right? You're going to die with the money and leave it for your kids anyway. So you might as well spend your money. I know a fool, he's saving his money. Like he's saving money like he's saving it for what? And got all this jewelry. What you got the jewelry for? You in your 70s, you might be lucky to live another 10 years. You understand me? Or maybe 20 at the highest. But even that 20 years, what you saving your money for? To leave it with somebody else? Huh? What you saving your money for? Live your life now. Enjoy your life now. You know what I'm saying? It's one day at a time now when you get to a certain age. You ain't, and if you're trying to get rich and do all this to get rich for who? For what? To leave it to where? You understand? Man, I'm trying. Every day is sweet. Just when I wake up, you understand me, and be complete. And I wear new clothes and look good. The girl said the other day, she said, I don't know how you do it. No, I know how to, because I economize. I know how to manage my money. You understand? Which I know how to do. I learned how to do that years ago. And I'm not trying to save everything. One time I was saving money. Then I thought about it, you understand me, when they took my $100 bill. Well, they didn't take it. I lost it because I had it in my pocket. And I thought about it. I had hundreds at home. I said, wait a minute, what am I doing saving this money for what? After I lost the 100, then I said, no, I'm not saving no money and for who? For what? For where? No, I'm enjoying myself. I'm going to spend money and enjoy life. And live life to the fullest, the best of my ability. I'm not going to save it for nobody, for no one. You understand me? Because I know for sure that the best I can do is be my best and live my best, you understand? You know, you dig, enjoy myself. Man, because the bitter and the sweet, man, sometimes the struggle and the bitter part is as much fun as the having money part. Because you're striving towards something, right? I'm talking about back in the day when we was striving, when I was, hitting licks and out there leaking it before I had a dame, when I was out there leaking it And, be in the pool, I had to economize when I was in Vegas and I was leaking and I had to economize, you know what I'm saying? And I had to, I'd eat cheap hot dogs, get the coupon. We did all that kind of stuff for a minute. They would have friends that inspired us because they would be doing good. They'd be doing great and have big money. But they wouldn't, man, they wouldn't hold on their money either. They was living like they lived because they knew, man, hey, they knew how it was. It's up and down. It's bitter with the sweet when you're a real true player. That's how it be. The ones that was real tight and never seen a broke, they got broke, they would end up in the jailhouse with some dope dealers. But they didn't have a good attitude. They weren't pleasant. They was bitter and everything, man. Them dope dealers, they weren't cool, man. They were envious and jealous of real players. They didn't have the sport in. They didn't have that sport in them like people. When people have sport in them, they didn't have the sport in them. You know what I mean? They did not have that. And when you don't have sport in you, you don't know how to, accept. You don't know how to accept, doing bad. You worry, you get upset, you start tripping because you want to have everything. You want to have money, but for what? Hold on. You don't have no looseness. You don't have no sport. You got to have come up money and all that type of stuff. So you always got to have a bank for that. But man, I don't never think about that because I ain't never been a dope dealer, been on that page. But he's a bitter dude too. I found out about him when I was kicking game with him. We was in the car and I was kicking it with him. He didn't have that spunk. He had that dope dealer mentality. That's when being a dope dealer is mostly what they do when they do that and they identify with that. And they really don't need no woman. They want one, but they don't need one. And they don't really even know how to have one and keep one, cause you know what I mean. That's not on the MO. That's not their thing, man. They don't have the swag and the pizzazz and they don't really have it. You know what I'm saying. And they all on a certain they stick together on that certain level. But man, that's them, man. I don't never be like that because I never try to identify with them. I do my thing and I be my own self. And I know they hate on me. I got a lot of haters. But I got this book coming out now. But I don't trip off of that. That don't fascinate me. I'm not tripping off of that. I'm the same me. I'm not gonna trip off of the book. You know what I mean? Like it's a big thing because I got a book. Oh man, I'm the same person. I'm just doing the same thing. As far as having money, I'm gonna be having money because I am gonna be selling my book. You understand me? Peddling it out there. In life, I'm gonna be out there doing what I gotta do. But I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna worry. I'm gonna be the same person. And when I get my money, I'm gonna spend it, and I'm gonna save some, and I'm gonna spend some. I'm gonna do like I do, but I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna worry about nothing. Like when I get my bike, I'm gonna be riding and going places, and getting around, doing what I gotta do. But I'm gonna be posted up places selling my stuff. I'm gonna be going to nicer neighborhoods. Like I said, this book is about fashion. Not about no pimping. I ain't got time to talk about no pimping. Man, that's over and done. That's nothing to brag about. Like I said, I'm never gonna write a book about my life and about the pimping. My next book's gonna be about pictures of fashion. I don't want a book about like that, like all these other cats put out. Nah, I don't need that. I don't need that type of book. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? It's just like anything else. People don't take what you give them and take it and get that and get the good points out of it, If I was to tell you something, I'd tell you don't go in the streets, don't do that. I did it because at the time, it was the livelihood. Life was different then, man. It was opportunity. It was beautiful. Things were reasonable. You could eat good. You could live good. You know what I'm saying? You could leak. When you leaking, you was leaking good. You could leak good. You could be happy leaking. You understand? Yeah, man, you can be happy leaking. And cats that had money that was doing good, they looked after you, man. They gave you respect. They looked after you, man. You know what I mean? They had respect for you. Real true players had respect for you. They gave you the real game. And then these cats that sold dope and did all that funny ass stuff, they stayed away from you. They stayed in a different area. They stayed to themselves. You didn't see them. Them cats stayed in their own lane. That's it. Stayed in their own lane. They know how to stay in their own lane, man. You know what I'm saying? They stayed in their own lane. You dig? They didn't intercept, man, and try to infiltrate you, man, and have all this jealousy and hate that they got down. You know, when you winning and you successful, say you got all these clothes, you living good, you living your life, right? Because that's where you really live at. You don't tell people where you live at and how you live. That's a secret. That always has been a secret. See, that's not how you measure a person. You know what I mean? You measure how they living as far as how they flash in front is. You know, they wardrobe. You know what I'm saying? How they got a wardrobe, you understand me? You know, jewelry used to be important, but now they so cold with it. They have the cubic zirconias in with the gold. It don't be solid. It don't be real like it used to be. You know, these people do so much faking, man. You know, just like flashing these big old bankrolls. You know. You know what I'm saying? These dudes be rapping. Okay, you're a rapper, so you winning because you rap. You got an opportunity. You got a break. See, winning is when you take that money and invest it and do it and go from there and don't look back. You understand? And don't look back. You invest your money and do what's right. From the first money you get, you don't blow your money. When that money come like that, you got to invest it. You're young. Say you're in your 20s, you get your first opportunity. You invest. You invest that money in property. You invest it in something solid. You don't go out there sign with a Lamborghini or a Cadillac. You don't try to impress those people. You try to get one, but you try to get a solid foundation. Then you get the car and the house. Even if you have it temporarily, you got to have it flash in front for your reputation, so you can say, "Man, I had it." When you're old, you can say you had it. You got to have something, a Cadillac and jewelry at one point in your life. You have to have it to be a valid player. You know what I'm saying? And if you're in the game and you never worked and you was always playing, and you had your little moment where you was pimping, and you did what you did, but you really lived the life. You really lived in the game, man. I mean, what I mean by you really lived in the game, you didn't go to work, man. You went out there and played for your money. You went out there every time you went out there. You was on the pursuit. You understand me? You was on the pursuit of happiness and success. You know. You on that goal. Because there was something to go to shoot for. You know, and now people shooting and killing, man, and oh man, it just ain't right, man. It ain't cool. It just ain't cool. Opportunities ain't out there for you. They ain't out there. You can't win. Man, I was in Vegas, I was having it my way, man. You know, I was there 4 or 5 years, man, and man, I was having it my way being a player. Man, playing for the money. Because the time got to where Pimpin' Homes was over with, man. In the 2000s, after like I said, after that Pimp Up Hoes Down, put all them niggas in jail and messed up the game. Gave people all that time. I was through. I wasn't trying to pimp no more. That last broad I did when Pretty Boy tried to give me the woman, that was the last lesson I learned. I learned that lesson from that crazy woman. You know what I'm saying? And he was the one supposed to have the girl because she chose him, and he would have been all right with her. But he didn't. He wasn't real. He wasn't real. It came to the front when a woman chooses you, and you don't know how to act, and you don't know how to respect and do what you're supposed to do when the broad get with you, and you call yourself a player, and you don't take the money and do nothing with it. No, you're supposed to make a choice. You're supposed to make the choice and do what you're supposed to do. And your wife was supposed to go along with it if you was doing what you're supposed to do and be respected. That would happen. But you didn't know what you were doing. That's why it didn't work out for you. You know, because you wasn't true. You wasn't on your job. So you got to know how to be on your job, man. That's what people don't understand. You got to know how to be on your job. You got to know how to, you got to know how to make sacrifices and leak until you come up and get complete. Leak. You got to leak until you get in the right seat, man. You got to know how to leak, man. Yeah, you got to know how to leak, man. These people don't know, man. You got to know how to leak good, man. And I'm talking about leak good. And I've done it. But the one thing I really learned is when I learned how to be by myself. When I learned how to be by myself, when I was going in out of Fred, when I was going to different spots, and then I ended up going to Vegas, I had to make my own trips and go places to live the best life, man. I chose Vegas because Vegas was on the hit list. I won in Vegas too. I went to Vegas and it was nothing but winning. But I was older at the time. I was like in my 40s, maybe close to 50. And that's when I knew, man, the game is over for an old cat. It's them young cats' game. It's not for me. It's them young cats. Them young cats, man, that got opportunity in Vegas, you know. And some of them cats was straight laced and was doing it like it's supposed to be done. Some of them was really doing it like that. And it was okay, you know. And then you got them other cats mixing it up, selling drugs, rapping. Rapping is still mixing it. When you a rapper and then you rap and make some money, you understand me, or write some songs, whatever you do in the square world, rap world, man, that ain't got nothing to do with you being a player. You wanna live the life of a player, but you really ain't a player. That's why I don't respect them cats, because I did nothing but play my whole life and live by the rules of the game, and really been in the game, not doing nothing square, you know. You know what I'm saying? Really living the game, you know. And I got respect for players that played, you know, but not really played. They didn't know how to play. So when the pimping ran out and they was entertaining, well, they was an entertainer anyway, right? That was the first thing they did, and that's what they loved doing. Ain't nothing wrong with that, 'cause they doing what they love doing, and it's nothing illegal about that. Playing music is nothing illegal, and it ain't no square thing. It's a pleasure. If you can play music and get paid, man, that you having it your way. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I just don't know how to play instruments, so I played on the streets. I played for my money, you know. And that was what I had to do, and hey, there wasn't nothing wrong with it, because I did it. And I won with it. You understand me? When I was doing that in Vegas. You know what I mean? I was doing my thing. And hey, man, I was having it my way. And then when I got to a point to where, you know, when I moved into my spot and moved back to California, I stopped really hustling on that level, because I didn't have to really travel. You know, I didn't have to travel like that, because it wasn't really worth it. I was living on the road, so I was traveling anyway. And then when I anchored up in Vegas, I kind of anchored up there anyway, because the price was right and I was getting paid anyway. And there was a lot of tourists in Vegas, and I was just, hey, man, I was having it my way. Vegas was the way, man. I was doing it, you know. And it was okay. You know what I mean? It was a good way to be, you know. But like I said, I tried everything. I tried living over there with in Clear Lake. I did those things because I wanted to try it, so I know if I liked it. And I did all that. Now I'm at the age where I do what I want to do because I can, and I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life for me, and I'm doing it because I can. You see? You got to do your thing, man. You got to be your best self, you know. And you accept the bitter with the sweet. But you got to know how to accept the bitter sweetly. You understand? What I mean by that is, you know, that's part of the game. You know what I mean? These ups and it's down. So when you're down, don't stress about it. Don't get frustrated. You know, just eat, economize. I eat, economize anyway. I do that anyway. So that's why I live like that anyway. You know, that's why I'm so successful, and I know how to win, because I've always known how to manage my money. In other words, I know how to do that, manage. You know, I've never had a problem managing. You know, I don't have a problem doing that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know how to do that, and I'm always winning. I'm always going to be on a winning end. You know, I'm gonna be on a successful note. You know, everything gonna be on a hit list. I'm gonna win with it. You understand? You know, and like right now, you understand me. When I leave out here, I gotta eat, economize wisely, and do what I gotta do. You know what I mean? And have it my way. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only way to do. You know what I mean? 'Cause I gotta be me. You know, I gotta be me. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I do. You know, people want to be on a winning team. They want to be with you when you look like you're happy and you never like, especially when you're happy. You know, but you got these cats want to lie and cheat and act. And you know, they not happy when they got money and they got to hold on to it and be tight with it. Then they not happy because money is to be spent. I don't hold on to mine, and I ain't got as much as they got. But they hold on to theirs like it's the end of the world gonna come or whatever. Man, hey, man, just enjoy yourself. You know, make what you're gonna make to make you happy doing what you're doing. But make sure you're happy doing what you're doing. You know. But when you're a certain age, you gotta have goals, discipline, and you gotta have directions. And going to school and getting education and all that is the best way to do, because you can't get money like I got money. You know, hustling and all that is not good. That's not, opportunities are gone. They're not even there no more. You know, you can't even make it like that no more. You know, so you better get a job and do what you have to do. Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, my show is over. I gotta let you know that it's time to go. International Fashion Experience. Accept the bitter with the sweet, and